Hey team, welcome to Colbyashi Maru, the show where devs all over the world boldly face off against the most logical tools of the web. I'm Colby Fayok, your space jelly commander and host of today's challenge. Today we have Mariatta. Mariatta is a staff software engineer at Uplight Inc., and who is currently hiring, might I add. And she's also a core dev with Female. Let's bring her in. Hey Mariatta, do you want to give yourself a quick intro, or is there anything else you'd like to add there?
Yeah, hi. Yes, my name is Mariatta, and other than being a full-time staff software engineer at Uplight, I'm also a mom. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and in my free time, I also contribute and maintain various open source projects. So I'm actually one of the Python core maintainers.
Oh, nice. I didn't realize that. That's awesome. Cool. Well, if you're new to Colbyashi Maru, our guests will have 1 hour to complete their challenge. Through that time, Mariatta will talk out loud as she's working through that challenge. I'll also be asking questions along the way, but if you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the chat, and I'll definitely field them over to Mariatta. So today, she'll be facing off against building up a GitHub bot in Python with gidgethub. If she doesn't finish that challenge, all's not lost. We'll see if we have a little bit of time to finish up at the end, or we'll just talk about what the next steps would be. So Mariatta, do you want to talk a little bit about the tools you're going to be using before we actually dive in?
Yeah, I will mention that I will be using, well, just the tool to build this, my IDE. I use the PyCharm IDE. I will be using Python 3.9 and the GitHub library. I'll be using the latest one. Those are the main tools and framework I'll be using. We will also be using the AIO HTTP web framework, which is one of the async web framework in Python. There are various libraries you can use for this. GitHub itself supports AIO HTTP and a few other, also HTTPX. I don't remember what other framework, but the only one I use is AIO HTTP. What else? I will also be, because we will be creating a web service, I need to host it somewhere. For me right now, to make things easy, I will be hosting it in Heroku, just in the free tier. What else? What else would be interesting? I'm not sure. I'll show an example of a bot that we can build. We're probably not going to build such complicated one today.
That sounds good.
Yes, I will show. Hold on.
So I am now sharing your screen. So if you did want to show something, yeah.
Okay, I have a screen here. So in the Python project, we actually have various bots that help us in triaging issues and applying labels. So one of the bots that is working is this bot called the Knights Who Say Knee. So basically, whenever somebody opens a pull request in the repository, it will check if the person has signed the contributor license agreement, the CLA. So immediately after the person created a pull request, the bot responded immediately saying, hey, you have not signed the CLA, it applies this label. And if the person has signed the CLA, you will see, it will not write a comment, but rather it will just, I'll remove this. It will just apply the label saying the CLA has been signed. So for example, this PR, there was no comment from the bot. It simply says, yep, you're good. There's a label. So,
yeah, that's handy.
The label. Yeah, so that's the kind of bot that I want to show how to build. We'll see if we get to actually responding to something. Yeah, should I get started?
Yeah. So let me pull up the timer. But yeah, if you're ready, we're ready to go.
Okay. I also mentioned that I do have a tutorial written, which I wrote a couple years ago. This was prepared for 2020. So maybe some of this information is outdated. Maybe this is now a good opportunity for me to go through this again and update some of the information. But in case we run out of time, you folks can read through this. You will get a working bot at the end of this tutorial.
Sounds great. And I'll also share
So-
that link in the chat so that anybody can follow along. So I'm going to go ahead and start the timer then. And 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay, so I thought I'll start by showing how we can use GitHub to automatically create an issue in a GitHub repository. So like you don't have to go to the GitHub UI to do that. And the whole process is described in this document called GitHub API using command line. So the first thing I want to do is maybe I'm gonna create a file. Let's say issue Python script and wait, not VI. Create issue.py. And also before all of this, I want to be creating a virtual environment, Python virtual environment. -m. Take some time and activate the virtual environment. Okay, then I'm going to install the necessary libraries, which is making sure I'm in Python 3, yes. So Python 3-m git install github and AIO HTTP. Okay, just making sure the font is still big enough for you all to read. If not, let me know.
Yeah, it's looking pretty great, but definitely anybody in the audience, if you need some help with the font size, definitely reach out and let us know.
Okay, now that I have a file created, I'm going to open that file. Actually, you know what? I should have. Okay, let's create something here in the demo directory. So that's the directory I have just created. I'm gonna create, well, there's a main.py, okay. Just wanna call it something more descriptive, create issue.py. So I actually have a sample working code in here. Maybe I'll explain what this does. In the first few lines, this is just importing the necessary libraries that we will use, like to import the async IO library, to import AIO HTTP and GitHub, all the libraries I mentioned we will use. And then we're gonna instantiate a GitHub API, which is the GitHub API is the API from github. In there, we will pass in my personal GitHub username and my personal GitHub GitHub personal access token. I believe that's what it's called. And then we're just going to start this process. So when we run this, nothing is actually happening. We're just instantiating the GitHub API. Down here is an example on how to create an issue on GitHub repository using github library. Basically, github gh here is the GitHub API that we instantiated earlier. We're passing in the URL to the repo. Actually, let's go to the GitHub documentation on how to create an issue using the API. Here it says to create an issue using the API, you'll make a post request to the repos and the path /issues. And then you have to pass in like several variables, like several parameters. Translating that to the GitHub library, here, this is where it's saying we're gonna make a post request to the URL, to the /issues, and passing in several parameters. So so basically we will put this into the part of the script there. So here you can see that it's making that call, and then it will say issue created. And after running this, you will see that in the repository, in my personal repository, we will see that issue being created. So that's the whole explanation. I'm going to do this right now. This is just one part, by the way. The next thing we needed to do is setting up the GitHub personal access token. So I will show how you can do that by going to GitHub, go to your settings.
Just a heads up, I don't have the ability to blur it during the stream, but let me know if you need me to take your screen off for a second for the access key.
Yeah, I will probably move my browser elsewhere momentarily. That's what I will do. So basically, go to your settings, go to developer settings, and the personal access token. You would want to click the generate new token. And in the node, I would recommend creating name your token, say to make it easier for you to remember. For example, I would say this is Colbyashi Maru's demo, so that if I don't need this token anymore later, I can delete it. And what we want to, for now, I just want the repo permissions and click generate token. And after you click generate token, the token will appear here. You will only see this token once right now. Take it and copy it. So copy it and save it somewhere else. So I'm going to click the token in a different screen just so you don't see it, because
good idea.
For security. Okay, so I got it. All right, now I wanna set.
Just so you, we can see your terminal, just so you're not gonna set the environment variable and paste it in there.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to be cautious.
Yeah, thank you so much. I do plan to remove it. So I'll just show you how to set the environment variable in macOS. I'm using macOS. I think in Windows it's a different command. So I would do something like gh equal and the token you just got just now. So let me again move it somewhere and clear. All right.
Perfect.
I set my token and let's see, let me make sure I got everything. So I should be able to just run create issue.py. Okay. So one thing I want to mention is I do hard code the path to my repo right now. I want to recommend that please don't test this on other people's public open source projects. Test this on your own personal repo. And you can test it on my repo, it's fine. I created this just for anyone who takes my tutorial. So I don't mind, but don't spam other people. Let's see. So it says issue has been created. So if I go to there right now, so that's the path that I passed, and I got an issue created without even going there. So
beautiful.
That's one way you get to automate your GitHub workflow, by writing scripts that calls GitHub APIs. Now you notice that immediately that's not that. I used to have a bot that automatically add emoji. Maybe if we
nice. Okay.
Maybe if we have time to do it. So that's one way of automation. Let's go back to my tutorial. Now that we got that working, by the way, any questions so far? Should I continue?
No questions so far. Yeah, feel free to go ahead. And again, if anybody has questions, make sure you ask them in the chat and I'll ask them over.
All right. In my tutorial, I have a few more examples of like what else you can do. For example, commenting an issue, basically using the different API endpoints. Let's not do that right now. The next stage is creating the GitHub app. So first, how do we create what is a bot basically? A bot is like automation that automatically respond based on actions you make, or I'm not really saying GitHub action, just things you do. In GitHub, basically, you can set up webhook events. GitHub provides lots of APIs and webhook events. You can subscribe to events happening in your repository. For example, there are things like, issue opened event. You can subscribe to such things, and your bot, your app can react based on those kind of events and perform certain actions. So in order to be able to receive those webhook events, you need to create a web service, like a web server that can accept requests made by GitHub to your server. So that's the basic of GitHub bots and webhooks. I have some more write-up in this tutorial, which you all can try to read later on. Yeah, let's start it. Okay. Setting up GitHub app is a little bit more complicated, so I will go through my tutorial because I forgot how it works. All right. It looks like at some point I have created a boilerplate repo, which has the initial structure of a web service. So it seems to have, well, this is why you write documentation, so you don't have to memorize everything. So in this boilerplate app, I have set up all the imports that we needed to have, basically, again, Async.io, AIO, HTTP, and GitHub. It has an example on how to start receiving webhook events. So basically, where you see the routes get and routes post, this is basically the syntax in the web framework, where we're saying, if we receive post request to the /webhook URL, do all of this. And the get means if we receive the get request to the /URL, basically do something, basically return a page that says hello world.
And is that routing built into Python, or is that part of one of the libraries you're using?
This is part of the GitHub and AIO HTTP. So you get this from GitHub library. So that's where it gets imported. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I've seen several web frameworks in Python, like even libraries like Flask. They have similar syntax using the decorator like this. So I guess, okay. So in this is the main web request handler we will be working with. I'll explain what it does. It accepts the web, it accepts the request. It tries to determine the web. So when GitHub sends you webhook events, it also passes in certain request headers, and you wanna be checking against those headers to make sure that you are receiving events from GitHub and not from, from other hackers. So when you set up webhook events in GitHub, you will be able to see that past this kind of secret. So GitHub provides you that. GitHub abstracts out that part. Like it does the validation that your secret matches the one that you specify at on when you set it up on GitHub.
That's awesome.
So that's what this is doing right now.
And if you hear that, I'm not sure if you hear that beep, but that means you have 45 minutes left.
Oh, okay. I heard that. All right. And I think you've seen this before where we're instantiating the GitHub library API. And the part below is simply just like returning the response. And down here, this is the main entry point of this main script. Basically, we're setting up a web application, which this app is the AIO HTTP web application. It adds all the routes, like basically the routes we have defined here is being added to the web app. So AIO HTTP understand what are the different URLs we have. And start the web app. So basically this whole script is just setting up and starting up the web service, but it doesn't really do much other than, it will have a hello world printed out for now. And then we'll be using this to build up more things. So to save myself from, maybe I could just copy this whole thing, huh? All right, let's just copy this whole thing because I don't want to type the whole thing by hand because I make typos.
Fair enough.
Yeah, let's, okay, let's do this. I will create a directory called web service, and I will have something called main.py and copy everything. What else do I need?
As someone who's not super familiar with Python, what does the underscore syntax refer to in the file name?
These two underscores, they're called dunder. Double underscores. You know what? I can't explain it.
Oh, no worries. If it's just like a convention or something.
It's a convention. And the other thing that Python has is the dunder init. So which is instead of main, I think we have the dunder init, something like this, init py. If you would put the init py inside of your directory to make Python understand that this is a module. So it's like one of the magic of Python.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and the main it works the same way. Like I think in the newer versions of Python, like I don't think it worked in the Python 2. I don't remember, but main works the same way, that it tells Python that this is like the main entry point of the module.
Makes sense.
So yeah, okay. What else do I want to add? Hold on. Where is my tutorial? I have to go through it to remember the next step. The next step is, I guess we should be creating a, you know what, let's try to push this to Heroku. What else do I need in order to push this to Heroku? I need the requirements file. So the requirements.txt file, this is where, when we push this to Heroku, Heroku is able to read the dependencies that we need to install by reading the requirements.txt file. So I will put both github and AIO HTTP. Just to be safe, I want to check what else I might need. Okay, looks like I need a few other libraries as well. Let me do that. And this file will tell Heroku what are the dependencies we need. The other thing we need to do is the it's this thing. Sorry, I'm just saying thing and that. The proc file. This proc file is special to Heroku. If you're not deploying to Heroku, you might need a different something else.
And that's essentially the command that starts the server, right?
Yeah, this is how Heroku will know how to start your web service, basically. And basically, if I run this locally right now, like this will try to start that web service, the main.py that is under the web service module. So, but I think I did not have the right, I did not install it yet. So install requirements. Did I do? Oh, pip install -r requirements. Okay, so now if I run Python -m, whoops, not pip, the Python 3-m web service, this will start running the web service on my local server. And let's see if I could, because I think I don't have, well, now you see the hello world there. So yeah, and I should have the webhook URL as well, but since I'm calling it in a GET request, it returns an error, which is expected. So now
we know that it's hitting it, right?
Yeah, we know it's working. So now let's go to Heroku. Actually, I will push this to GitHub. So I'm going to create a repo on GitHub, and I'm using GitHub CLI. So GitHub repo create. That's the CLI. Whoop, I need a Git. Okay, now I have a Git repo. GitHub repo create. Repository name demo1, demo for Colbyashi Maru. Public is okay. Yeah, why not? So now I have a repo on GitHub created. Let's see. And it's empty. Nice. So let's add the few files, just the files that I needed.
That GitHub command line is pretty handy.
Yeah, I love it. So if you all haven't started using it, please do install it and start using.
The only thing I've used it for so far is for checking out pull requests from other people. And even that alone is really handy.
Yeah, it saves me a lot of time, especially as open source maintainers, having to review lots of PRs, just like you said, having to clone things. It saves time having to like go to the repo, to the UI and do stuff. So I'm going to say initial commit. All right. All right, now I have a web service, a proc file. I can log in. Let's see. Okay, I have a whole bunch of GitHub apps. Well, Heroku web service, because anyway, let's create a new app. I'm going to call it demo Colbyashi Maru Mariatta. And here the reason I pushed my code to GitHub is so that I can easily connect it without a lot of work. So I'm going to say demo1, which is the repo I just created. And sure, let's do that. Enable automatic deploys and let's first deploy it.
I really enjoy the services that have that nice integration flow with GitHub. It just makes that workflow so much easier.
Yeah. Yep.
That was quick.
Is it done? Okay. Okay. Yes. Now it says it's been deployed. So if we go to this URL right now, we will see hello world. If it's up. There you go.
Nice.
So
hello
that's
world.
the same thing we see just now. Okay. Now that we have a working web service, we can create a GitHub app. So we would have to go to GitHub again, settings, developer settings, GitHub app, click new GitHub app, and I want to say, what should I say? Demo. That's my initial demo for Colbyashi Maru, and the URL is the Heroku web service URL. Let's do that actually. Okay. The important part is the webhook URL. This has to point to the webhook URL that we define in the web service. And the secret, it says optional here, but it's just a good practice to secure your webhooks, and therefore GitHub framework actually requires you to use a secret. So,
and is that the same one you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, that's the same one that if I was showing in the code here where we're saying it's trying to retrieve the GitHub secret variable, environment variable. That's the secret we will create here. So you can put in random string. Let me put in just something off the screen. Some secret, and what else do I need? Let's see. Let me, before I do the secret, just wanna go through this whole page. I need a okay. We want to set the permissions on issues to read and write so that the bot will have the ability to create and close issues, as well as, request, grant the permission to read and write, and then webhook. Not the permission, but there is, okay, here's where I mentioned about subscribing to webhook events. So we wanna, if we want the bot to react to issues, opens, or pull requests, you just tick just the things that you need. So you don't need to give everything. So in this bot, I just want it to be able to be, I want the bot to listen to the issues open and closed and things like that. And since this is just a test, I will just give it just to myself for now. And I think that's all. Let me make sure I put in the secret.
I'm not sure if you hear the beeping, but that's 30 minutes left.
Okay, cool. Okay, let me show the thing again. Now I have an upgraded, and there's a big information here saying I must generate a private key, so I will do that. Let's click that, but again, for security, I will do it on another screen. So what happens after I click, whoops. After I click that, it will download a file to me through the browser. I will receive a something.pm file. So I want to keep that file. I want to be opening that file later on. Just to show you, I'm gonna create another one and delete the one I just accidentally showed.
Okay, I was making a note to
Yes.
hide it later, but okay.
I have deleted. Now I have a new one. So that's tricky. Okay. Now, what's the next steps? I should read my documentation again because I want to say like it's complicated. Like it looks like I have to jump from various places, and that's why I wrote this tutorial for myself initially.
I always think the funny thing is sometimes the hardest part is the configuration, right?
Yeah, the setting up. Once we get through this page, it's going to be easy. I got the web service. I deployed to Heroku. I created the app. I set the webhook URL. I have the secret, and I did that. Okay, now I want to be setting up config variables in Heroku. Okay, now I know. So back to the Heroku web service that we just created. If you go through here, there is a place where there is something that called settings. Now remember earlier on, I had to set up the environment variables that stores my GitHub access tokens. You can do that here as well. The config variables in Heroku is basically like the environment variables. So for example, if I use the GitHub auth token earlier, I can put that value here, and I can put more than one. So the values that I want to create is GitHub secret. What else do I need? So my tutorial actually says what are the values I need to set: GitHub App ID, secret, and private key. App ID. Okay, so I don't need GitHub auth. Let's delete that. So I will add, so GitHub App ID. This will be, when you create that GitHub app earlier, you will see the app ID in the top of your GitHub app screen. I will do it elsewhere, but let me do one more time. The next one is, the next secret I need to put is the GitHub private key. And this is the value of the PM file just now. So, all right, GitHub private key. It's empty now. I'm going now to fill those in another screen.
I appreciate how conscious you are about it.
Yeah. Gotta be safe and secure. Okay. Okay. I got the secret. I got the next is the app ID. And the private key. Just going to move my IDE momentarily to get the private key. All right, I got all of them. Now, it's my tutorial again. All right, I set it up. Okay, now it's the exciting part. Now, the web service is set up. What did I do here? I needed to set up the installation. Okay, the event. All right, basically this part is building up the bot that will automatically thank the person who installed this GitHub bot by posting a comment saying, thanks for installing me. And the way to do that is by subscribing to the installation created event and putting in this line. Okay, let's do that. I think this is already part of the boilerplate code that I have. I have the installation added, but it doesn't do anything. So now we want to start putting in some code. So early on, I have the way to say to create an issue, right? So we can use the same, basically same kind of code saying, like we can say, thanks for installing me as the title, having the app. Thanks. So instead of hard coding this value, we can basically get the data from the webhook event. If we look at the, I'm not sure if I have the documentation linked correctly. Webhook events. GitHub actually gives you like really great documentation of what kind of data they will pass in the webhook events. So installation.
So at this point, it seems though similar to the installation one, it's really just setting up what event you want from this list and then listening for the data.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, basically the events in like when we say router registration, these events matches what's in GitHub, what the events that GitHub provided. Basically, if we want to say we want to subscribe to the discussion events, you would put discussion and the action.
Nice.
Discussion created, something like that. So in this case, I am listening to the installation, and installation created event. And here you can see that it has, this is the all the data that the webhook event will pass. You can actually get the repository name instead of having to hard code it. There is the repository's full name variable that we can use in the in our webhook. So let me see if I actually have an example. Like, yeah, I explained it. So it is in the repositories added event, repositories added full name, repositories. I think it's just repositories. My documentation might be outdated. So so instead of hard coding it, we'll do URL. And URL is basically event data repositories. And is it a list? It's a list. So maybe I wanna hard code it to just the first one. I know it's bad practice, but just a demo.
Of course.
Before this, we also needed to do, like, we need to pass in a special authentication tokens. So instead of the GitHub auth personal access token, we will retrieve the installation access token. And all of this is already built in GitHub. So we just need to, like, basically call this. So I got the token. What did I say? Okay, so instead of using the auth token, we will pass in the installation access token when we make the post request. So post request is there, auth, so pass in the auth token, which is taking in the GitHub app ID and the private key, all our values we got when we created the GitHub app. So this lets GitHub understand that this request is being called by your GitHub app. Okay. I made the call. I think that's all I need. I received the installation created event, and then I posted a comment saying thanks for installing.
Nice.
So now let me commit and push this. Thank applicant to thank the person for it. GitHub. So by pushing this to GitHub, and since I linked this GitHub repo to Heroku, it will automatically be, Heroku will automatically receive the new code and automatically redeploy with the latest change.
Nice.
So I can, let's see if I could see the progress. You know what, we can probably see Heroku logs, and so the command to read Heroku logs is like Heroku logs -a and then pass in the app name, and in which case my Heroku app name was demos -Colbyashi Maru. I would say tail. Basically, I just want to see whether Heroku received. Oh, I did not log in. Heroku received the latest change yet. Okay, back. So I can see that
nice.
It rebuilt and it has redeployed the new change. So how do we try this? How do we try this? We have to now install the app. So I'm going to my personal repo where I want the app to be installed. Wait, is this how I do it? No.
Just say no if you hear the beep. 15 minutes remaining.
Okay. All right. Actually, I will go to the page where I created the GitHub app earlier on. So this is the GitHub app settings. I will say I choose the install app, click install, and let's just do it on my personal strange relationship. Install. It's installed. And did it work? I can see that there is a post to the webhook URL. I didn't see an error. Now,
It's a good sign.
let's see if it's actually created an issue at all. No, it did not. So let's try to debug. Let's try to debug. What else? Let's go. So this is the, let's go to my GitHub apps, basically. Back to developer settings, the Colbyashi Maru demo, and let's see if I could go to advanced. It looks like I have an error earlier, but this seems to work though. So this is where you could see that it's making a call to the installation endpoint. And it could see that my app is returning a 200 status to it. So where is the, so let's look at the payload if it matches what we expect. So we were looking at the repository's full name. Oh, I got the full name. I didn't get the correct URL, I think, right? All right, this is basically just the full name. And the URL is really like repos full name and then issues. Let me check. Yes, repo slash full name slash issues. So that was a mistake. Let's do something to make sure issue created at, what did I say? Response at the HTML URL. So now we have some debugging. Okay, fix the URL for opening an issue. Okay, now we should see, since I have the logs open, we should see that Heroku received my new commit and it will try to restart soon enough.
I need to start using logs right on the command line rather than, I always go to the website and just try to find it and open it up, but this would save so much time.
Well, I guess it depends. It depends. I can see value in seeing it in the web, where if it's available in the web where it's not it doesn't disappear. You can navigate easily, maybe. But I like the fact that Heroku lets you do various things. Okay, I'm not receiving the events at all. Going to check. Did I push it?
So I don't know if you hear that music, but that means 10 minutes remaining.
Okay. I will go to Heroku. Okay. Just to be safe, because I don't want to keep waiting, I'm just going to click deploy right now.
Makes sense.
And it's deploying. Okay, and now I can see that the build in the log at this.
I wonder if it's not an instantaneous, like once it sees that.
Maybe there's a bit of delay. But it looks like it's finished. So now, since I already have the app installed, I don't want to have to like uninstall and reinstall it again. Basically, what I'm going to do is just tell GitHub to please redeliver the same event again. And I love the fact that GitHub lets me do this. I work with several other services. They do not have the ability to redeliver the same webhook event. So if
That's really handy. Nice.
Yeah, if I click redeliver, oops, I broke something. What happened? I broke something. What's 503? Is the app not ready? There's an syntax error. Oh. Okay, I made a typo somewhere. Okay, this needs to go there. Sorry. I will answer them later. Okay. All right, I guess I have to commit this again and push. Let's redeploy it in Heroku.
What other kind of services have you set up bots for?
I have Slack bots. Slack also have a really nice framework for it. What else? I think those are the two things I've built, like full bot, like responding to webhooks. But I've worked with various APIs. Last time I used Google Slides API to automatically generate various slides out of Google Sheets. So like it reads data from a Google Sheets and then take the data and generate slides. It's kind of cool.
might have to have you back and do that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that'll be fun. I can definitely show. I haven't written any tutorial, so we can definitely do that. Okay, let's redeliver this payload. It succeeded.
Success.
Let's see if I see anything in the log. And it says issue created.
Nice.
At there. So if I go, there's the bot that I created. It's working and it says thanks.
Yay.
It says the thanks that I created. And now, yeah, I guess that's the bot. And usually in my tutorial, I would make the participants write the code to automatically close this, like to help clean up its own action.
Nice.
So maintainers don't have to manually close this. But I think
Right.
we are out of time.
Yeah. No, that was awesome though. And yeah, you did it right before the 5-minute mark. So very well done. So yeah, do you want to kind of just walk through what you did then? Like just a real quick recap?
Sure. Okay, let me try it. So basically what we did, we created a GitHub app from scratch using GitHub library. We set up, we created a GitHub app and we subscribe to the installation event, like app installed event and then we automatically say thanks to the maintainer or to whoever installed this app. Say, thank you so much for installing. I'm glad you're having me as your bot and ready to assist you, something like that. And we do that by using Python. I use Python 3.9. You can use at least Python 3.7, which is the minimum required version that is supported by GitHub library. We use GitHub library and AIO HTTP web framework. We also use various different services like Heroku to deploy our web service. We use GitHub CLI to automatically create the repository on GitHub. And I show you how to read the GitHub documentation, and how to translate those into GitHub. So, and I even show you how to debug in case there are errors in your app, which is interesting. I normally try not to have to show that, but I make typos all the
stuff
time.
Though.
Yeah.
Debugging is one of the things that all the developers have to do. So it's, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you so much, Mariatta, for coming on and accepting the challenge of Colbyashi Maru. Can't even say my own name. But please, everybody, make sure to go over to @Mariatta on Twitter, where you can follow her for all of her awesome content, and also check out her GitHub, where she's an OSS maintainer, lots of awesome projects, and you can support her by sponsoring her on GitHub for her open source work, as well as she has an upcoming open source diary, which she's been working on. So stay tuned for that. But next week, we're going to have Khaled Garbaya, who will face off with part 2 of managing subscriptions with Gatsby, Netlify, Stripe, and Hasura. Mariatta, is there anything else that you wanted to add or any last words before we sign off?
No, I just want to say thanks for having me here and thanks folks for watching. I don't want to say haven't been creating this app from scratch for a while, so it's fun and it's exciting. I feel like I'm learning all over again. So thank you.
Absolutely, no problem. It was a lot of fun, and thanks for coming on. So, yep, thanks everybody for stopping by, and this is Colby signing off.